Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are we doing this fine day? Just to let you know, this opening intro might be a little bit sweary because I'm a bit annoyed. Good morning, everyone. First of all, let me say good morning to Chris Ford, who's just joined us. We've also got in our midst, we've got Ken Hatcher, Mark Whiting, Dan Cullen, Jim Turner as well. Good morning, one and all, and anybody else that's watching over on Twitch or on Instagram. So yes, let's start with this, shall we? So the basic story here is, let me get to it. Video footage taken by a neighbour captured the moment a farmer allowed one of his grandchildren to illegally ride in his tractor and ultimately led to his conviction. Howard Walters, 78 years old, was given a 12-month community order after he was spotted with the child in the tractor cab as he fed cattle on his farm in South Wales. Walters had already been issued with a prohibition notice by the Health and Safety Executive in November 2020 after admitting to inspectors he allowed his preteen grandchildren to ride in his tractor. However, just 2 months later, he was filmed by his neighbour flagrantly breaching the terms of the notice. So that's kind of the beginning of it, and it rankles with me for a lot of reasons, but three main reasons. First and foremost, the neighbour that shot the film that led to this prosecution. What a fucking arsehole. What kind of busybody do-goody cockwomble do you need to be to do something like that? Secondly, is this not how millions of farmers, demolition and construction workers were inspired to pursue a career, riding along with a father, a grandfather or an uncle? Besides all that, the old boy is 78 years old. Has it occurred to anyone that the kids were actually helping him? I understand the health and safety implications of having a child on a tractor or an excavator or a dozer, but who is more likely to take care of those children? Their grandfather or the wank stain with the camera next door? And my final point is this, and this is the one that really gets my goat. Isn't this just typical of the health and safety executive of today? They've pursued a legal case against an old fella taking his grandchild for a spin on a tractor. They've even produced a press release to proclaim their victory. And yet, if you listen very, very carefully, you can hear the sound of their heels dragging on Didcot and Redcar. Are those cases too difficult and complex? Is it too much like hard work? Do you just not have the balls to go up against a major company? Or is it just easier to let the public do your work for you so you can prosecute an old man? Tossers. Now, very quick reminder. Now I've got that off my chest. A very quick reminder. There will be no show on Monday. I'll be at a funeral. I'll remind you again at the end of the show. But yeah, I mean, imagine being the sort of person that goes out into your field and takes a video of that. Can you believe it? Steve Williams just joined us. He says, "I'm only just picked up my lawn roll. Lawn roll means nothing to this soft southerner. I don't know what that is. Sausage roll and scone. I've no scone. My weekly feed. What is a lawn roll? I need to know. Somebody enlighten me. Lawn sausage. Still means absolutely fuck all. I've no idea what a lawn sausage is. While I'm playing the intro, I may go and look that up. And speaking of intros, let's do that, shall we? Need to say a quick good morning to Tamco Demolition. Just joined us over on Instagram. And thank you, Steve. I just looked it up. I looked up lawn sausage, square sausage. Now, I've eaten square sausage. We could even, there's a butcher near me that does square sausage, but we get it already sliced. Do you have the loafy affair? Do you get a loaf of that and take the bits that you need? I've never seen it in loaf form, certainly not down here anyway. Yeah. So, the square sausage. Didn't expect to be talking about that this morning, but that's where we are. Going back to this, Dan Cullen says, that next door neighbour is a complete moron and a no good dick. I agree. Chris Ford says, revenge is a dish served cold. Obviously, there's some background history to this story. I think a muck heap and a stack of bales appearing close to a boundary. Yeah. Jim Turner says, well said, Mark. Typical easy picking for them, seeing as the person next door did all the graft for them. Yeah. And imagine if you were the type of person, that kind of petty, no good dick, as Dan described them. You've had a slight falling out. Maybe your next door neighbour parked where he shouldn't have parked, or maybe he didn't let you go at a road junction. I know. I'll go and film him, and I'll notify the authorities. Get the HSE down on him. What an absolute spanner, honestly. And apparently, lawn sausage. We can buy it both ways up in the wilds of Scotland. We just get the pre-sliced. It's good. I have to admit, it is good. Never got on with the tatty scones. Never really. Bit dense for my liking, which is rich, given that I'm fairly dense myself. It is Thursday. No, it's not. Let me do that again. It's Friday, the 30th of August. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, we're going to do a throwback to a mega demolition project. Caterpillar goes straight in demolition. We're going to bring the feminine touch to mining, and the dozer that isn't. That will make sense, I do promise. Plus, in our after-show chat, Mark's morning monologue, I'm going to be looking at the relationship and the bond between a man and his machine, which, given the fact that there's a lot of people in the audience who are men with machines, might just appeal to you. Might not, but it might. So it is last day of this month's Mystery Machine. I can tell you, I think it's already in the can. I didn't check, but I'm fairly sure Dan Cullen can't actually be caught now, but we're going to do it nonetheless. So let me play this and I'll show you today's Mystery Machine. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could have a draw. I've just checked the league table standings as it is at the moment. I can tell you that Dan Cullen is currently on 18 points, and Steve Williamson is on 15 points, and there's 3 points for a victory. If Dan wins today, the prize is his. If Steve wins today, I'll have to find a second prize, I guess. So, under starters orders, something sticky on my leg. I have no idea what that is. Here we go. This is what you've got to work with. And of course, if anybody else other than Steve or Dan win, then I guess Dan walks away with a victory. And I can tell you that the prize that is currently up for offer is a Bobcat t-shirt. Very smart they are too. And I have one in black and I have one in red. I guess if it's a draw, you'll have to fight it out amongst yourselves which colour you'd prefer. But if Dan does hold on to the victory, then he can choose either red or black, and I'll hold the other one over for another month. Let's have a look. Gary Muirhead has just joined us all the way from the wilds of Tenerife. Good morning, Gary. Thank you for being here. Chris Ford says you can't beat a bit of sausage first thing in the morning. Yes, my wife used to say the same. She says it less these days. Mick Norton's here as well. Good morning, Mick. Good of you to be here. Don't count on me. I've only got lucky twice. Yeah. And Jim Turner, is going for a Fuchs duck. It is not. It is not one of those. I'll show you a smidge more because I'm feeling generous this morning. There you are. Well, it has at least 2 wheels. I don't know if that narrows it down for you at all, but that's what you're working with. While you're figuring that out, I'll take that away and I will tell you about today's Excavator World Cup match. Just before I do that, I'm going to go back to this because we've had guesses here. Dan Cullen reckons it could be a Wackernoisen duck. It is not. Steve Williamson is going for a Wackernoisen EW100. It's not. Mick Norton reckons it could be a Hydrema. It's none of those things. It's not a Wackernoisen of any shape or description. It's not a Hydrema and is not a Fuchs. Keep the guesses coming. Take that away because I do need to show you today's match of the Excavator World Cup, which is this. Yes, today's round of the Excavator World Cup sees Komatsu taking on Develon for a place in the next round. Obviously, the manufacturer with the most votes goes forward to the next round, while the manufacturer with the least will be going home. Now, on paper, I thought this would be not cut and dried, but I'm kind of erring towards one of the brands. But I do know we have fans of the other brand in the chat. So the usual thing. Imagine I've just granted you 150,000 quid in used imaginary money, and you need to invest it in an excavator or an excavator fleet, and you can choose between either Komatsu or Develon. Your choice. And I can tell you, what have we got? Steve automatically going for Komatsu. Mick Norton has to be Komatsu. Gary Muirhead, Komatsu. Ken Hatcher, Develon. So 3-1 as it stands at the moment, but keep the answers coming in. Going back to Mystery Machine, Gary Muirhead going for the Wackernoisen DW60. It is not, and it is not a Wackernoisen at all. Let me just show you a very quick smidgen more, shall I? Does that help? I think it probably does. Let us know what you think in the chat. I'll take that away because it is time to get on with the show. Dan Cullen going for the JCB Hydra Dig. It is not one of those. Ken Hatcher, a Manitou forklift truck. It's not one of those either. So there was a very, very big demolition project down under in Australia about a year ago. Well, it ended about a year ago. We brought you various bits and pieces of that project as they went along, but the company behind it have now put together a film that wraps up the entire thing. Makes for good viewing. Have a look at this.
Very important, you are out of that.
Pretty good, right? There'll be more demolition in just a moment. Do need to go back to this, though. What have we got? Dan Cullen reckons it could be a Manitowoc 14-meter telehandler. It is not. Dan has also gone for the Vigneri telehandler. Not one of those. Gary Muirhead going for the Red Rock TH280. It is not. Dan going for the Farasin 14.42 telehandler. Lou Carney has just joined us from the wilds of Plantworks. I don't know why I keep saying the wilds, but from Plantworks. Ken Hatcher, dead comes to mind after that video. No, don't know what that means. Mick Norton says Aussie Demolition, a byword for competence and excellence. They really are very, very good. Funnily enough, there's a thing you can do on YouTube where you can, in addition to posting videos, you can post polls. And I did a poll the other day. Where do you think the best demolition contractors in the world come from? The UK, the USA, New Zealand, Australia, Italy, France, and everything else. And the UK, I think, came in third. And America won because I think we were outnumbered, but also because Australia are very, very good. Dan Cullen got for the Farasin 6.26, but he's also gone for the Manu HTH 24.11. It's not, but you're close. You're close. You are warm. In fact, you're beyond tepid. You're really quite warm. I will remind you that our Excavator World Cup looks like that. We've also had another vote come in from our friend Dave Paget at Kent Demolition over on LinkedIn. He is putting his money behind Komatsu. So Komatsu is in a pretty commanding lead, but we shall see. There could be some votes coming in between now and the end of the show. Now, I promised you more demolition action, and that you shall have immediately after this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yeah, we had Gilles Ronnet on the show, of an evening show a couple of months back when we were talking about all things related to Caterpillar and Caterpillar straight boom demolition rigs. Well, he's a customer that's got one, and he's quite happy about it.
Right now, we're tearing down this two-story building. Used to be a lighting gallery. It's precast concrete with block walls, taking it down to the slab. They're going to make a parking lot here until they decide what they want to do with the property. We're able to get this building down a little quicker than we could with the regular excavator and bucket like we used to use. These processors allow us to cut the columns a little quicker and safer and more controlled demolition. We have two Cat excavators, a 340 and a 330. They're cutting the concrete as we tear it down, tripping the columns, letting the building fall with the processor heads, and then clean up the trash as they scrape it off the floor. With the bucket, we could tear it down and we would be kind of banging around on it, and pieces would be flying a little less controlled. But when we cut it with an excavator with the shear, we can make it fall kind of more the way we want it to fall. Safer. But it gets the job done. I mean, we cut right through the concrete like it's butter, basically. A rebar goes away, concrete goes away. There's nothing that really stops us from processing with this machine. You can rotate these things any way you want, cut just about any way you want. There's not really any access you can't get to. If you use a bucket traditional wise, you got width issues and you got different angles, but this way you can pretty much adapt and slice through that concrete any direction you want. The straight boom is nice because it allows us to get up maybe to the second floor where the pin height is, where we don't have to worry about the cylinder banging on any other part, scratching the cylinder, so we can be a little less gentle we have to be with our attachments.
I can tell you we have a winner. We have a winner. Let me show you what we've got there. What have we got? We've got, get to the right place. Dan Cullen originally said the Manu HTH 2411. It is not one of those. Mick Norton said exactly the same machine, funnily enough. Dan Cullen also said the Manu. I realise it said magnificent, but we all know how predictive text works. The HTH 6.25, it's not one of those. Gary Muirhead went a little more obscure with the Vitamin T4512, but I can tell you that the winner and the winner of the entire league table this month, Mr. Cullen with the Manu HTH 10.10. I can show it to you. That's what it looks like. Well spotted, Dan. So, I have a question for you. Would you like a red t-shirt or would you like a black t-shirt? Choice is yours. I've got both. Both factory fresh. They're still in the bags. I haven't worn them, I promise. Just take your pick. Take your pick. Well, Demolition Awards 2024, Stockholm, November the 7th. Are you going, or have you ruffled too many feathers? I would nominate you for a top broadcast, but we bet it's a closed shop. Well, it is a closed shop. Yes, very quickly, I attended a World Demolition Awards a decade or so ago. Now, let me take that off the screen while I'm telling you the story. And I turned up, as I often do with these things, very early doors. I was only just into filming stuff, but I went along with a video camera with the intention of capturing the action. And I was pulled to one side by one of the organisers and said, what are you doing? I said, well, filming it. Why? Well, for YouTube and for Demolition News. And originally he said, well, we'd rather you didn't. But well, you're here now. You may as well. So anyway, I thought nothing of it. Carried on. Did what I needed to do. Came back about a week after the World Demolition Awards. This was in Amsterdam, by the way. I got a phone call to say I probably overreacted. If you'd like to come next time as our guest, bring your camera, and if you're happy to share the footage, then we'll be happy to share it as well. So you have an invitation on us. About 11 months later, I reached out and said, what about the invitation? And they basically said, we'd rather you didn't come. So I've never actually set foot in the place again. So it's going on. I know people that are going to be there. It's pretty good, I have to say. There are 2 awards coming up. I have more respect for the World Demolition Awards than I have for the other one, which is basically if you spent enough advertising revenue, you get a prize, which I have no problem with that. I won't be publicising the World Demolition Awards. I'm sure it'll be very, very good. Also have a bit of a question mark over the fact that the keynote speaker is the owner of the company that was on site when Didcot happened. Is that really the best keynote speaker for these things? Yeah. Dan Collins going for the red t-shirt. Bear with me, Dan. There you are. That is what it looks like. That's what it sounds like. Red t-shirt will be on its way for you probably over the weekend, I would imagine. He also says that looks a lovely little telehandler. Looks even better now. It's won you a prize, right? Mark Whiting has gone for Komatsu as well on our Excavator World Cup. Komatsu are now in a pretty commanding lead. And Chris Ford, which is my attitude to most people. Yeah, fuck them. That's pretty much how I feel about it. We're going to be back in just a moment. Our last film of the day is a weird one, so try and stick around for that. And as I said, the final bit of the day, my morning monologue, is going to be talking about the slightly strange relationship you have with your machines. We're coming back to that in a moment. But first of all, I'm going to play this, and I'm going to show you women working underground, because who wouldn't want to see that? I can see what you're trying to do, Dan Cullen. He's voted for Develon while he's on YouTube. He's then popped over to Facebook and voted for them again. You only get one vote, Dan. Behave yourself. And it's been balanced out. Anyone by Chris Ford voting for Komatsu. Yeah. Is everyone set for the weekend? Well, I certainly am. Looking forward to it enormously. And because it's come up, very quick reminder. Long weekend for me because I'm at a funeral on Monday. No show on Monday. Please bear that in mind. Don't bother sending me WhatsApp messages because I won't be responding to them. So, women in mining. It's a good thing, right? Have a look.
My name is Jessica Mitrovic. I'm a truck operator at Fosterville Gold Mine. I drive a haul truck where we cart the ore from the bottom of the mine and bring bring it up. Mining process is very interesting, driving that far down to think you're over a kilometre deep under the ground and hauling out gold. It can get a bit lonely in a truck, but I like that. Work-life balance, definitely with 2 little boys and 12-hour shifts, isn't easy, but I'm really lucky with the opportunity I have here. I was able to transition from a casual role to full-time employment. This has provided me with the security as I raise my young family. I have 2 boys, and being able to work locally is really important as we are part of this community. There's always things happening, new procedures and new things. So with our new Mobilaris system coming and the Wi-Fi underground, it's another added safety feature. Vehicle interaction can be terrifying from a truck point of view. They pull up pretty quick when they need to, but you never want to be put in that situation. So having the Mobilaris and being able to see when a vehicle is below you or coming towards you, and same for the vehicles to see where a truck is, will definitely help vehicle interaction. I really enjoy being a woman working in Fosterville or in mining in general. There isn't a lot of underground operators. Very lucky at this site, we actually have quite a few that have worked in mining for a long time. So there's a female bogger operator, which I'm not sure if there's many in Australia. It's my comfort zone, I fit in really well and really enjoy my time here.
Loads of comments coming in. First of all, this one from Chris Ford. What's the difference between a wedding and a funeral? There's one less drunk at the funeral. True enough. Very accessible cab. Yeah, absolutely. A low profile. Wasn't it tight in there as well? Some of the tight turns in there. Steve Williamson says, where were you working today? Under a mountain. Not for the faint-hearted, but good on them. Yeah, absolutely. All that for a bit of gold, because we've decided that gold is valuable. Weird, right? Strange looking truck. Is it a cat or something? I couldn't actually tell, to be honest. I'll go back and have a closer look. Dan Cullen asked if everyone was set for the weekend. Jim Turner says definitely set for the weekend. Hopefully looking a cabin to live in, and the rest of it on the digger. Hopefully, we'll come back to diggers and relationships in just a moment. Mick Norton. Any further thoughts on yesterday's LinkedIn discussion on what appeared to be a huge HSE faux pas? We covered it right at the top of the show, Mick, and I won't use the language that I used earlier on, but I think the person taking the video, arsehole, the HSE for not just prosecuting does them no favours whatsoever, but the very fact that they issued a press release on their stunning victory against a 78-year-old man, disgraceful. And I think I said you can actually hear the sound of their heels dragging on Didcot and Redcar, because apparently going up against big business is a lot less palatable than going up against a 78-year-old man. That's my thoughts. And nobody disagreed with me. So, yeah, not good at all. Where were we? I think we need to do a thing, don't we? I know what it is. I need to do this because I've got to drag the other film off my hard drive. It needs a bit of an intro as well. So back after this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Right. Need to set the scene on this one. I was originally going to do this as like a reaction video, filming me watching the thing, but I thought, wow, I'd much rather watch it with my buddies, basically. Came across a video, and it was the headline that got me in the first place, because it claimed to have found footage of a machine that I believe is kind of mythical. We've all heard of the Cat D11, but there's always been talk of a Cat D12. Caterpillar themselves have never made a D12. There have been suggestions that there are D12s in existence under trial, and I think there's a company in Australia that have basically modified a D11 and they claim that it's a D12, but there is no such animal. But this video that I found claimed that they had found details of the D12. So I'm going to show it to you now. See if you can spot precisely what I spotted. I need to bring it up. It's on my hard drive. Watch this for a couple of minutes, and then let me have your thoughts.
It is a marvel of engineering, designed to handle the toughest jobs with ease. First off, let's talk about the engine. The D12 dozer is powered by a Cat C32 engine, a high-performance, fuel-efficient engine that delivers exceptional power. With a displacement of 32 liters, this engine can produce up to 1,150 horsepower, giving it the muscle to tackle the most demanding tasks. Whether it's moving massive amounts of earth, clearing debris, or even handling mining operations, the D12 is built to perform. One of the standout features of the D12 is its advanced hydraulic system. This system provides precise control and exceptional responsiveness, making it easier for operators to maneuver the machine in tight spaces and difficult terrain. The dozer blade itself is massive, with a capacity that allows it to push enormous volumes of material. This makes it ideal for large-scale construction projects, land reclamation, and even forestry applications. Comfort and safety are also top priorities for Caterpillar. The D12 dozer comes equipped with a state-of-the-art cab that offers excellent visibility, ergonomic controls, and a comfortable seating arrangement. The cab is designed to minimize operator fatigue, even during long shifts. It's also built with robust safety features, including rollover protection and advanced monitoring systems that keep the operator informed of the machine's performance and any potential issues. Now, let's talk about the undercarriage. The D12 features a heavy-duty undercarriage that can withstand the harshest conditions. Caterpillar has designed this undercarriage for durability and longevity, with features like sealed and lubricated tracks that reduce maintenance needs and extend the lifespan of the components. This means less downtime and more productivity on the job site. Another key aspect of the D12 dozer is its technology integration. Caterpillar has incorporated advanced technologies like GPS, telematics, and automated systems that help operators achieve precise grading and leveling. These technologies not only improve accuracy but also enhance efficiency, reducing the time and cost of projects. The machine's onboard computer systems provide real-time data, allowing operators and fleet managers to monitor performance and make informed decisions. In terms of environmental impact, the D12 dozer is designed with sustainability in mind. The engine meets the latest emission standards, reducing harmful pollutants and improving fuel efficiency. Caterpillar has also focused on reducing noise levels, making the D12 a more neighbor-friendly option for urban construction projects. In conclusion, the Caterpillar D12 dozer is a powerhouse of a machine, combining strength, precision, and technology to handle the most challenging tasks. It's a testament to Caterpillar's commitment to innovation and quality in the construction equipment industry. Whether you're in construction, mining, or forestry, the D12 dozer is a versatile and reliable choice that won't disappoint.
So, yeah, where is it? Dan Cullen. That's as fake as they come. So, most of the photographs looked D6, D7 size, nothing like a D12 at all. In half the pictures, the Caterpillar logo was back to front. In one picture, the thing was called a D12. In another, it was called a D022. It was obviously video created by AI, voiceover done by AI. What was bizarre was that the voiceover, although it didn't actually do anything really specific, most of it was actually quite believable. Oh, the undercarriage is strong and the engine is powerful and it's environmentally friendly. All the sort of things you would expect Caterpillar to say. But yes, I think we may need to wait a little bit longer until we actually see an actual D12. Gary Muirhead says, strange Caterpillar finished it on an uneven number, D11. Never finished the range with the D12. Having said that, all of their big trucks are odd numbers, aren't they? 777, 793, 789. Maybe. Cab doesn't look like a cat cab at all. It does if you're an AI, apparently. That's unreal. Literally unreal and unbelievably bad advertising. Dan Cullen said to Gary, how's your holiday? We were talking about what's up for the weekend. I'm getting ready for a funeral, so I'm not going to be having a bundle of laughs. Gary Muirhead, however, he's booked a steak meal at the Bank restaurant on Saturday night and a show called The History of Music. And please let me know if that History of Music does not include a song by Ultravox, then consider it null and void. Just saying. There are no Cat D12s in the wild. No, there aren't. As I say, I'm sure it's an Australian company who have done some very, very large-scale modifications to a D11, and they claim it's a D12. It is not, but yeah, there you are. Okay, so let me take all of that away because I do need to let you know the result of this. Right, so the latest round of our Excavator World Cup pitted Komatsu against Develon, but which brand came out on top? Well, we put it to the public vote, and I can tell you that the mostly unanimous winner is... It is Komatsu. Komatsu goes forward to the next round, while XCMG sadly leaves, not XCMG, Develon leaves empty-handed. Monday's match, which is not taking place on Monday, so it's Tuesday's match, will be a battle between two giants of the industry. Caterpillar going head-to-head with Case. Yeah, that's going to be a biggie, so make sure you tune in and take part. I will say it one more time before we get into the after show bit. I will not be here on Monday. No show on Monday because I'll be elsewhere. I am going to roll our end of the show stinger in just a second before leaping gazelle-like into the morning monologue. If you can't stick around for that, then please do stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues, and I hope to see you again very, very soon. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I'll be back in just a moment with my morning monologue. Just before I do that, when will the final be? I reckon it will be about a week and a bit, thereabouts. We are down to, I don't even know. I'd need to do a bit of a count up, but I think we've got a couple of rounds before the final. So yes, not far off. We will find out who the ultimate winner is, and there's some big names in there as well. I need to go back on this. So going back to this thing that we were discussing here earlier. Dan Cullen says, according to the HSE, there's an age limit for kids on machines, 13 years old. Apparently so. Chris Ford says, agriculture is filled with machines that will maim and kill you and hurt a lot while they do it. Wonder what the actual figures would be percentage-wise if all the kids carried on tractors was put against the number injured. I'm not promoting that you should carry kids, but the regulations were written before modern cabs were invented. The biggest danger is moving vehicles followed by pits and ponds. I'm guilty of all of the above, he says. Yeah, I wonder. And as I said at the top of the show, I know there are rules and regulations that we all need to abide by, but who is going to take better care of a child in a tractor? The child's grandfather, who you would think had something of a bond, or a next door neighbour, looky-loo, with their video camera? I know which one my money is on. So it's time for this, and then I'll be back with kind of a sentimental end to the week. Relationship between men and machines in a second. There is something special, something truly unique about the relationship between men and their construction equipment. It's a bond that goes beyond the purely functional, beyond the machine as merely a tool for getting the job done. In fact, for many operators, their machines become an extension of themselves, a partner in the daily grind, and even, in a sense, a reflection of who they are. Think about it. How many times have you seen an operator give their machine a name? It's almost like christening a ship before it sets sail, a moment that marks the start of a special bond. And these names aren't just random. They're often carefully chosen, sometimes reflecting the machine's personality, or a fond memory, or even a person the operator admires. It might be something tough and commanding like Beast or Tank. It could be something affectionate like Bessie or Old Faithful. Whatever the choice, it's clear that to the operator, this isn't just a piece of equipment. It's a companion. And just like you might buy a gift for a friend or a loved one, operators love to deck out their machines with accessories and attachments. A fancy lighting package, a new seat or seat cover, some special cleaning products to keep us spick and span. These aren't just practical upgrades, they're expressions of pride, a way to make the machine even better, more capable, more uniquely theirs. In fact, it's not unusual for an operator to actually dress like his or her machine, sporting the logo of the manufacturer on their hat, shirt, jacket, reinforcing the bond. Perhaps that's why there is something deeply satisfying about the ritual of washing and cleaning a machine. After a long day on site, there's nothing... Let Let me do that again. After a long day on site, there's a certain catharsis in hosing down the mud and grime, in seeing the gleaming metal emerge once more. It's a moment of care and respect, a way of saying thank you for another hard day's work. And in that moment, there's also perhaps a bit of reflection, memories of jobs completed, challenges overcome, and perhaps a hint of nostalgia for machines that have come and gone. Ah, the nostalgia. Anyone that spent years in the industry can tell you stories about machines they've operated in the past. Machines that for one reason or another hold a special place in their hearts. Maybe it was the first excavator they ever operated, or the dozer that never let them down, no matter how tough the job. These machines aren't just remembered for their functionality, they're remembered for the role they played in the operator's career, and even in their personal development. And just like parents might compare their children's accomplishments, operators compare their machines with those of colleagues and rivals. There's a certain pride in saying, my machine can do this, or look how well maintained my equipment is. What does all that say about us as people? Well, it says a lot about our need for connection, for identity, and for pride in our work. It's easy to see a machine as a cold, impersonal object, but in the hands of a skilled operator, it becomes much, much more. It becomes a trusted partner, a source of livelihood, and a symbol of personal and professional pride. The bond between operator and machine also speaks to the importance of craftsmanship. The importance of craftsmanship. That's the word I was looking for. In an age where so much of our work is done through screens and digital interfaces, the tactile, hands-on nature of operating heavy equipment is something to be cherished. It's a reminder that there's value in physical labour, in mastering a skill, in being able to control a powerful piece of machinery with precision and finesse. And yes, there's often a certain look that comes with being an operator of a particular brand or type of machine. A Volvo operator, for instance, might have a certain air about them, a sense of rugged reliability, perhaps, or a quiet confidence in their machine's ability to handle the toughest task. A John Deere operator might sport a beard and a trucker hat, embodying the no-nonsense, hard-working ethos that the brand is known for. These stereotypes might sound superficial, but they're rooted in the deep connections that operators have with their equipment. A brand isn't just a name, it's a promise of performance, a reputation built over decades. When an operator aligns themselves with a particular brand, they're aligning with that legacy. They're saying, I trust this machine to do the job, and I trust it to reflect who I am as a professional. So, does having a beard make a John Deere work better? Not exactly, but it does speak to the culture and identity that surrounds that brand. It's a reflection of the kind of person who operates that machine, someone who takes pride in their work, who values toughness and reliability, who isn't afraid to get their hands dirty. In the same way, an operator's attachment to their machine reflects their own values, their work ethic, and their sense of self. In the end, the relationship between an operator and their machine is more about getting the job done. It's about identity, pride, and a deep respect for the tools that make our work possible. Whether it's naming a machine, buying it gifts, or reminiscing about the ones we've known and lost, these rituals are a way of acknowledging the importance of the work that we do and the tools we do as well. In a world that often values speed and efficiency above all else, it's worth taking a moment to appreciate these connections. They remind us that there's still room for craftsmanship, for pride in a job well done, and for the deep human need to connect with the tools of our trade. Whether you're operating a Volvo or a Liebherr, a Cat or a John Deere, a Komatsu or a JCB, it's not just a machine. It's a partner in your journey, and it deserves the same respect and care that you give to any other part of your life. And given that you spend more time with your machine than you do with your partner, spouse, or children, buying your digger the occasional gift just feels like the right thing to do. That's my end of week nonsense. Let me head back to the chat, see what you're all saying. I hope there's some teary eyes. What do we got? All my life, I love all sizes of equipment, tractors and farm equipment. Love the sounds of the different engines. Yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? There is It would be hard to explain this to a layman, but the sound of a machine is a thing. The smell of a new excavator cab is a thing, but the smell of an old excavator cab is also a thing. But the smell of diesel and of oil and of grease, it's unique. The way that paint on an excavator or a dozer weathers, it's unique. Nobody out there outside of the industry will ever understand that. But I think those that are actually in it, yeah. Steve Williamson says, stand out. I love a setup that stands out with light packs, accessories. I always look up the machines over in Sweden, etc. Their machines will all stand out. Yeah. Yeah. And in some ways, and I think Steve, to a degree, epitomizes this. You know, we've all seen photographs and video of Steve in his sunglasses and what have you. That is an extension of Steve, much the same as his machine. Is clean, it's well cared for, and you know, it's not a machine. As far as I know, it's not a machine he actually owns himself. It's owned by somebody else, but he takes enormous care of that. He has pride in that machine, and you know, when the time comes for that machine to be replaced, he will probably not quite shed a tear, but he will miss it. There is a weird connection, really is. Never get a thanks or great job done, lads, from any foreman. No, you don't. My equipment is polished regularly, but the machine, but the machines aren't. Well done. I didn't even know where that was going before I started reading it. Chris Ford says, you missed a bit about Money Pit. You never forget that machine. But even that, you know, I mean, obviously I'm not an excavator operator, but I've had cars like that. You know, I bought my first car, my VW Beetle, and you know, it was kept clean. But I bought it gifts, and you know, because it was a 25-year-old car when I bought it, it was forever going wrong, and it never felt uncomfortable to part with the money because I was looking after an old friend. You know, yeah. Gary Muirhead says, I keep my machine clean, tidy, and scratch-free through respect for my company and best friend who has made a massive outlay in purchasing this expensive piece of kit to return it back in the condition I got it. Yeah. And again, I do think it's an extension of us. You know, you know, that idea of, you know, what is it? Tidy house, tidy mind, or tidy desk, tidy mind. I think if you went and knocked on the cab of a machine and you found it, you know, shiny and, you know, well cared for and a faint whiff of polish about it, I think that would tell you something about the operator. I think if you opened it and it looked like the bottom of a skip filled with, you know, sandwich wrappers and empty Coke cans and empty coffee cups, I think that would tell you something about the person driving it as well. And if I were employing either, I think I'd be more inclined to employ the tidy mind guy. Dan Cullen says, great monologue, sir. Love everything about machines and what I do. Yeah. I was on a podcast yesterday with a guy over in the States. It's worth stepping back every once in a while to remember. I mean, I'm a trained journalist first and a demolition and construction person second. By the time I got to demolition and construction, I'd already written about hotels, restaurants, boats, office equipment, and Lord alone knows what else. But I landed somewhere where I felt at home. I like the fact that people in this industry swear as much as I do. But there is something about this industry. I could have gone elsewhere, but I chose not to. For a reason, and that is the reason. Mick Norton says, I operated a Cat D12 dozer on roads and airfield projects in the Far East in the mid-1960s. Its registration number, see, this is what I'm talking about. Its registration number was 02DY50. I completed over 5,000 hours on that bit of kit and formed a close relationship in ensuring that the job was done to the best of my ability, safely and virtually a ritual. I have a photo of my dozer being blessed by a Buddhist monk prior to a certain task. 13 years later, I was to pull back a tarpaulin off a cat dozer in Nairobi, and lo and behold, my old machine. Wow. But yeah, the very fact that you can remember the registration number as I say, I'm not a digger driver, but I remember my dad buying his first new car, Ford Escort Estate to take fishing, LGK 16V. That was the registration, and that would have been 1975, 76, something like that. And here we are, 50 odd years later, and I can still remember it because it was meaningful. Gary Muirhead says, I know what you mean, Dan. Sitting in the cab of a D9, door open, listening to the V8 sound. Can he beat it? Can he beat it? No, indeed. And it's one of those things you can't. I think it would be a kind of a dinner party stopper. If you got into conversation about the sound and the smell and the feel of a D8, I think most people, unless you were actually at an industry event, I think most people would start to think, what's this guy's problem? Whereas it just means something, doesn't it? Jim Turner says, I live and breathe machinery, new and old, and I love the development of machinery, and that requires having one foot in the past and one foot in the future. It certainly does. Clean machine and looked after, and you'll leave tidy work. Clean, tidy work, yeah, absolutely. Stand out, and you'll always be needed and be known for that operator that leaves tidy work. Yeah. Listen, it's exactly the same. In what I do. I when I write an article, I read it, reread it again, and even after I've posted it, I read it again because I don't want somebody reading it and thinking, well, that's grammatically incorrect. His punctuation's off there. He hasn't spelled that name correctly. I'd hate for that to happen because that's an extension of me. It's a reflection on what I stand for. So exactly the same thing. If I had a chance to have my own machine, I'd be happy to add light packs and extras to it. Yeah. It's a bit like these. I mean, you'll notice that my phone never, ever has a case. I should know better, bearing in mind the industry that I work in, but it's never had a case. But how many people have been out and bought presents for their phone? Cases and extensions and grips and grabs for the cab and various other bits and pieces. And I think if you have a connection, you have a connection. Dan Cullen, that's a problem nowadays. Many seat hoppers don't care about the machines, only the wages. Yeah. Mick Norton says, Mark, I've emailed you the Buddhist monk and my dozer. Have you? I think we need to see that if I can possibly make that happen. Let me save it and then I can hopefully upload it. I need to go to a different page. Bear with me for 2 ticks. Goes there. Downloads. It's there. So, how many people here have had their digger or their dozer blessed by a Buddhist monk? Not many would be my guess. Mick Norton, however, has. There you are. There's a thing that I've never seen before. Mick Norton's machine being blessed by a Buddhist monk. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for that, Mick. Let me take that away very quickly. There's more chat to be had here. Jim Turner says, you're working for the wrong folk, Dan. I get a thanks and a handshake when my gaffers come on site and see what I've been doing. But they do know what a mardy bastard I can be. So they might just be keeping me sweet. Quite possibly. I'd rather be known for being a tidy operator than a rough one. Yeah. And ultimately, and I think there's an additional thing there that he's kind of reflected in what Steve's saying. You might not own the machine, but if you're handed the keys to that machine, whatever it is, 100,000, 200,000, £500,000 worth of excavator, you're handed the keys to that. Somebody has placed their trust in you. What an absolute shitbag thing to do, to go and then abuse that machine, go and gouge great lumps out of the counterweight or, whack the boom against something. Why would you do that? It's they're as big a dick as the guy filming the farmer, I reckon. Mick, I'm the same. Remember my old fleet numbers of machines I've operated? Just seems to stick in your mind. Yeah, these things do. Steve says, I've probably got about 6 grand's worth of lights, light bar, dipper plates, carpet, and so on. But that's the good thing about my group. I got them all for nothing. So I'm very grateful I've gotten these and made my machine stand out. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, in fact, funnily enough, just as another reflection, I was on this podcast yesterday, and the guy actually asked about that sign there, and I said, "Well, that came from Gary Muirhead. That came from a member of the audience. That came from what used to be our youngest viewer. I don't know if he still watches, and that's part of it, isn't it? I've had many machines blessed by a mad Irishman many, many times. Does that count? When you say blessed, do you mean sworn at? Um, Jim Turner, can you still purchase tins of Mardy cream? So we had lawn sausage and now we have Mardy cream. What in the blue hell is Mardy cream? I wish you all spoke English because Mardy cream. Let's have a look. I can see. No. I can see Mardy bum, Mardy crumb, but I can see nothing about Mardy cream. What is, we need to know, what is Mardy cream? Is that the same as a fat lip? I don't know. I don't. This goes back to a conversation I was having with Jim Turner a little while ago. The fact that they're, we are all English, well, to varying degrees, we're all English speaking, and yet there are so many takes on it, aren't there? I mean, I learned today a lawn sausage. Turns out I've eaten lawn sausage. Didn't know it. Square sausage up in Scotland. But Mardy creams. Can somebody explain Mardy cream? I'd love to know exactly what that is. Yeah, that's about an hour. So if anybody's going to tell me what Mardy cream is, you probably need to do it off air. I will confirm Dan Cullen's postal address after the show, and then I'll go down to the post office and get his t-shirt in the post. Mick Norton says it's Staffordshire vernacular for a miserable sod. It is a Mardy. Yes, you get the idea. You get a big dose of Mardy cream if you make an operator do something he doesn't want to do. Mardy cream. That's logged. That's logged along with the lawn sausage. Gary Muirhead is going back to the pool to pose poolside in his budgie smugglers with a large pina colada. I don't know why I've got an image of you with a pina colada, Gary, but have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy your steak dinner. Enjoy the history of music. Enjoy your weekend. In fact, everybody, enjoy your weekend. No show on Monday. Dan Cullen, your t-shirt will be in the post for you today. I'll be back on Tuesday with more of this and probably other expressions that I've never, ever heard of before. Keep them coming. I quite enjoy them. Till then, everybody, have a fantastic weekend. See you soon.